Hey YouTube, welcome to the Retro Cup team. So a couple things here, one bad, two good. The bad news is PvPoke has not updated the rankings for the Retro Cup to reflect the move changes this season. So what I'm going to do right now is go over the past Retro Cup rankings and the past teams that I've used successfully, just to give you an idea of what it looks like and why. And I'll go over all that. I'll go over the rankings as to why they are the way they are, so you can kind of assume, understand why the way they are, and then plug in new Pokemon or buff Pokemon based on what you're seeing here. The good news is, Great League is on, so I expect 98% of the player base to play Open Great League anyways. Plus, next week, Retro Cup Great League Edition is on again during the Ultra League, so it may actually be good to just wait a week, see where the rankings are on Retro Cup. I'll cover the updated rankings and new teams with buff Pokemon next week, Friday. But if you want just an idea of the Retro Cup, it is a 1500 CP League Dark Steel Fairy Band. So basically, if you're going to play this cup, what you need to think of, okay, if these three Pokemon are banned, what will rise and what will fall? So with Steel Band, you get stuff like flyers that are better, poisons that are better, because you now don't need to deal with throwing resisted moves on those Pokemon. Dark, with Dark Band, Ghost, there was a huge uptick in Ghost during these. I have a double Ghost team, Frostlass, Cofagrigus, I think the team was, just because Dark is banned. It's just your Ghosts kind of roam free. And Fairy, same thing, more fighters to a certain extent, a little more fighters because Fairy is banned, but Steel and Dark are banned. Those two are things that you do super effective against anyways. But with Fairy banned, I think, what was the other one that was roaming free? That wasn't fighters. Let me just look at the rankings here. Maybe fighters. Oh, dragons. Dragons are the one that were roaming free because no Fairy for the dragons and no Steel to do the resisted. So the dragons up. I have a couple dragon teams. So this was last season's Retro Cup rankings, right? Not surprising. Flyers, like I said, no Steel, so a bunch of flyers near the top. Gligar, Mantine, Pelipper, Rufflet, Abomasnow, same sort of thing in the fact that no Steel, you only have Ice and Grass charge moves and Fast Move. So that is why you get a bump there. Pidgeot, Golbat, right? Arctibax, and that's why you have so many flyers top ranked. And then there is and I guess Charizard's a flyer too. Charizard's a flyer. And then there's the Fairy Band, Arctibax, Dragonair, both Shadow and non-Shadow. So there you go. Your Dragons are now buffed because of the Fairies band. No Ghosts on this. Oh yeah, Jellicent's right there. So Jellicent's at 18. I'm sure if you extend this to 21 to 40, you will see Cofagrigus and you will see Frostlass on this list, because Frostlass is a nice answer to the Flyers and Dragon combo there. So that's why it is so strong. So that is, in a nutshell, the meta. So let's look at some past teams that worked. Again, this is sometimes going back to 2-3 seasons ago. I have some from last season, but I have some from a couple seasons ago. Noctowl, Lickitung, Quagsire. As you can see, old Quagsire moveset. This is when Skytack had not been nerfed yet, but it's basically balanced team. Flyer, Quagsire is going to be weak to grass, like Abomasnow and stuff like that, and other grass Pokemon. So Flyer, saves up Lickitung, Quagsire. Very balanced team. Stone Edge on Quagsire. I know some people won't be running Stone Edge anymore because you're going to run Mud Bomb and Aqua Tail. Just be aware that this meta is filled with flyers, so Stone Edge probably will be the preferred moveset on Quagsire if you're going to run it. But this is just an old school balanced team, which makes sense. And then I started to get into dealing with the things that I was seeing. So to beat so I have a Pseudo Widow. This team's built around Pseudo Widow. Pelipper, Altaria, like I said, Steel Band, Fairies band for Altaria. Flyers just generally roam a little more free. Pseudo Widow as a rock type user was huge against the Flyers. So having a counter user that is super effective rock type moves against Flyers, basically it kind of roamed free to a certain extent. So very, very dominant. It is weak to water and fighting, Pseudo Widow. and grass. So cover it with 2 flyer dragon, a dragon flyer, and a dragon and a water flyer, just to cover all the weaknesses of Pseudo Widow. But that is why Pseudo Widow is strong in this meta. And then I said Abomasnow. So this team has a couple things that are strong in this meta. I think Abomasnow is very strong because it covers basically your Mud Boys in combo with your flyers. So just super combo there. You're weak to fighting. So if you're going to be weak to fighting, the main fighter in this was medicham, stuff like that. So Cofagrigus, right? Cofagrigus is going to roam free because darks aren't really there. Yeah, the only thing that Cofagrigus needs to worry about is being walled by normal typings in this meta. And that's why you have Medi, right? Have Psychic on it. You don't need to use Psychic. You can use something else, right? You have Ice Punch for the flyers and the grass. And then just Psychic just give you coverage, but you can run like Dynamic Punch or whatever you want to run there. So that's its freedom. This team, I tried. Was just trying a different dragon. I think you can try whatever dragon. The reason I think I put in Kingdra was because I was seeing a lot of Frostlass. So to just go straight Dragonite is a little more risky. So Kingdra gives you that still gives you that Dragon Breath damage while neutralizing the ice. And that's why I use that. Diggersby, I ran this with Mudshot, so you can still see Earthquake on it, which is before the Scorching Sands update. So obviously Scorching Sands is better. You can also use Hyper Beam if you want something for the flyers, but I didn't need a flyer coverage because I had Lapras with Ice Shard on it. Right? Lapras with Ice Shard should be able to deal with all the flyers. You are double weak to fighting on this team, like Lapras and Diggersby double weak to fighting. I think at the time, my rationale was, yes, there's no fairies, so you could see more fighters, but there's also no dark and there's no steel, which is the two of like the 4 things that fighter is like super good against, right? So with that, I assumed there'd be less fighters. So having an ABA weak to fighting was not the worst case scenario. Lapras and Diggersby tanky enough that they can probably just deal with fighters anyways. Although it's not like Kingdra resists fighting, so it's not like a true ABA type team, but it's just ABA weak to fighting in the front and back. And lastly, I think this came from not community day, like a Go Battle Day. I think it was Go Battle Day on when Retro Cup was on, and it was like the end of the week after showcasing all the other teams. I'm just like, here are all the other teams that I used that I have not been able to cover. So as you can see, in 3 of the 4 teams, there was Frostlass. So one that I thought I'd uploaded a team, but I guess I didn't. It is Frostlass, Cofagrigus in the back line, right? And then there's Quagsire here. There's Lantern a couple times, so Lantern's really strong. I tried a couple different teams. Like I tried Regirock because there's so many flyers, right? I already talked about Pseudo Widow strength as a rock type user, so there is your Regirock, same sort of idea. Swampert is generally safe. I feel like in most metas. Yeah, so these combos, I don't think every single one of these teams worked. Like you might want to go back and watch this video if you're going to play. But I think like obviously Lantern, Frostlass, Cofagrigus, Regirock or Pseudo Widow all have play in this meta, so you should be fine from that perspective. So if you look back at the rankings, just think about, and I can help you just quickly, think about like the new Pokemon. So will Talonflame have more play? Yes and no, right? Fairy's banned and Steel's banned, which is 2 of the things that you really, really dominate with Talonflame, but Talonflame is just so strong. So between that, like just being so strong, yeah, Talonflame probably rises to the top like 20. Dragonair's on here and Arctopax is on here, but I wouldn't have, actually Guzzlord is banned because it is dark. Trying to think there's any other dragons that would probably jump to the top here. You know what? I just did, if you give me 1 second here, I just did the top. PvPoke posted the new updated rankings 1 to 20 and 21 to 40. So what else is on this list that is now like top 40? And it is Toxapex, Poison, Water. Right, Toxapex is pretty strong because it is a Poison Water. Steel is not in the meta, so you do well there. And just looking at the main stuff here, like you have Abomasnow that you'll hit super effective against. You're generally safe against a lot of these Pokemon. Gligar is going to cause you a bit of problems resisting the poison. But for the most part, Toxapex is pretty safe. So that is something. Clodsire is a new Pokemon that was not around when this was on last. So Clodsire's, I guess, only other problem is, it's not a problem because you can run Poison Sting. It'll just, Toxapex and Clodsire basically face the same thing in that Gligar is going to resist the Poison type moves, right? And it's even worse on Clodsire because it also resists the Earthquake as opposed to Toxapex where you can hit super effective with Brine. So that's the trade-off with those two. Vigoroth is not on this list. Vigoroth now has Rock Slide, right? Vigoroth now has Rock Slide, which probably jumps it into the top 20 in this list, right? Being able to hit all these flyers for neutral on Gligar, but super effective on the other ones. Charizard, Abomasnow. Abomasnow's not a flyer, but you can hit super effective because of the ice. Pelipper, Mantine, Golbat. Like, there's a lot of things weak to Rock Slide here. Plus, you just have that normal counter body slam damage. So I expect Vigoroth next week when I go over this. I expect Vigoroth to make a top run. Poliwrath as a water fighter, kind of tricky, right? When you look at the list, Gligar, Mantine, Pelipper, Rufflet, Charizard, you're asking for trouble with Poliwrath. If you're gonna run Poliwrath, I think you have to run Icy Wind and Scald, just for the Scald to deal with Gligar. I mean, not Gligar. You would Icy Wind Gligar, but like Charizard and stuff like that. So I think you probably have to run Icy Wind Scald if you're gonna run it there. Talonflame, like I said, probably plays the same role as Charizard. Maybe just not as strong. Well, no, probably plays an even stronger role, quite honestly. Nope, Skarmory's banned because it's Steel. Wiggly has banned because of Fairy. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's sort of the new top 40 on PvPoke that will be going live today in like a few hours. So those Pokemon will affect this ranking too. But that is it. Like I said, next week, next Friday, updated top 20 list that will actually incorporate the new moves and rankings. And then I will put together new teams based on the new meta. So we're going to do everything new next week. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, that is it. Thank you for watching. I will be playing Great League this week. I will be testing out all the new Pokemon. So stay tuned for that. I will see you guys in the next one.